Mhm.
We're good.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome to tonight, Quick Start Basics for Network Marketers. Tonight happens to be the recap of the last 5. So tonight we're going to recap core commitments 6 through 10. And we are very happy to be with you, Bess McCarty of Coach for Network Marketers, also the Shrink of MLM, and Jeffrey David Gamble of My Leadership Network. We partner to bring you this generic training, the Quick Start Basics for Network Marketers, covering the 10 core commitments every Sunday right here at 9 p.m. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders and raise the bar in this profession. We're so excited to be sitting with you here and sharing with you and learning. Our goal is to equip and empower and entertain and educate you on the basics of building your business. The goal of this school is to teach you how to build a strong and profitable business. And before we get started, we invite you to grab a pen and paper and note down what's coming up this week. First of all, how many people here caught the wonderful training on leads that Jeff did this afternoon on Facebook Live and on a conference call? A lot of people, there's like 100 and some comments on there, and a lot of people were on and loved the training. So there is a class to follow up on that. Jeff has done a lot of, he's an expert on leads, by the way, having recruited over 500 people frontline, and the methods that he is teaching with leads has produced other top earners in network marketing. So he is the expert. His method on leads is the best that I've ever seen anywhere in all of my study of the top teachers in network marketing. And the reason that he did that is mostly because you all became interested in needing your next step. You said, okay, FavorScript works great with the people that I know, and what do I do after I've contacted all the people that I know? So he came out with this, sharing his experience with leads today. And he's going to actually teach a 4-hour class next Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And it happens that there is a charge for that 4-hour class, and that the members of this class tonight get that for half price. So normally it is $97 or $99, and the members of this class are getting it for half that price. So we've already had people jump on and grab that up. So it'd be $49 for that 4-hour training. It comes with, I think, 4 PDFs of scripts and tips that you need, and the agent profile, of course, which you have, but it comes with the tips that you will to go along with doing your leads. I can't imagine a network marketer being serious and really building without having this information, without doing leads. So I think you can check with any top earner that is how they do it. So thank you very much, Jeff, for doing the training. There are links to all of that in the MLM Millionaire Club Facebook group, so you can find it there. And we love to have you on that. It's going to be real exciting for those serious people. Also, every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern Time is our MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. As you know, so many of you hop on there, like sometimes there's like a dozen club members on each of those shows almost. So thank you for joining us there too. We just love sharing that with you too. And that is Facebook. You can go to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. It's broadcast from that page or on Jeff's and my page. Monday, the topic, every Monday we cover one of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And when we're done, we go back again and we cover them from different angles, different stories. Monday coming up is the law of sacrifice, meaning a leader must give up to go up. John Maxwell, #1 leadership expert in the world, says that all 21 laws are essential to a leader. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse to, the law of nature will just say you cannot be a good leader, or as good a leader, or more influential, have as many people follow you as well, unless you use all the 21 laws. And just not knowing them does not excuse anybody from the laws of nature. So to become a good leader, we invite you to hop on there. We delve deeper into leadership on Wednesday nights for our Inner Circle group within the school. We call it the the MLM Leadership University, and there's a few select groups that some are here tonight that are members of that group. And every month we cover one book of John Maxwell's. This month we are on Put Your Dream to the Test. This is pretty important to analyze your dream and make sure it's yours and no one else's, that you have the right people around you to achieve it, the right strategies to achieve it, and he covers everything about your dream, putting it to the test to see if you have all the ingredients necessary to reach it. So it's been a phenomenal book. I've just loved it. And actually, I just remembered we're having an open house for everybody. So the people coming up Wednesday night on the chapters 8, 9, and 10 of it. So for those who are especially new and have not experienced an MLM Leadership University, we have an open house this Wednesday where everybody in the school can attend for free, and or as our guest, I'll say, and experience what this is about, the Leadership University, and why we are so excited to be studying leadership within the school, and particularly this book we're on now. Next month is Leadership Gold by John Maxwell. Yeah, a very, very powerful book. So every month, new book. It's a fast-paced class, but very, very packed. Right, Jim? And Becky and Doris and Linda, the people who are on or maybe listening. Jim can attest to that. He's like front row every class. Jim is. He's like the first one on every class. So we invite you to this Wednesday to the open house. I will put the entrance information in the Facebook group, and I'll also email it to everybody. So look out for that. We've got a lot of goodies for you, don't we? Every Tuesday is also another free class that Jeff and I do, Tuesday Facebook Live training, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Once a week we do this. And it's essentially a little sample of this class. This coming Tuesday, I'm going to be sharing a lot about mindset. We've covered skills in there a lot so far, but not a lot about mindset. So Tuesday is going to be how to get unstuck in network marketing. A lot of you want to know that or have been working on that and can use some extra tips how to get unstuck. So that's what that is going to be about. It's a class you can bring everyone to. May 3rd to 5th, Leadership Weekend Summit in Chicago. This is another one of those quarterly, four events a year, quarterly event that Jeff and Brandy put on. They're going to be in different parts of the country now, not just Indianapolis. So this one is in Chicago, and it's both going to be in person. We know some people that say, I think I can make that in person and see you guys there and give you hugs in person. We'd love to meet you and love to have you. Everyone that I've been to so far has been very, very intense. You know that because you know Jeff and how perfectly powerful and concentrated all of his trainings are. So this is going to be about leadership. And it's going to cover the 4 disc personalities so that you can understand people, how to become a top recruiter and lead people, how to become a top team builder, not just bring people in, but build, and how to become an influencer of people, and how to consistently achieve. This is going to be both in person and online. So this is cool. This is the first time that we've had an online ticket live stream to an event. And some of our club members have already jumped on and nabbed their tickets for that. By the way, they do go up. They are only $20 right now, but they will go up the longer you wait. So that link is in the MLM Millionaire Club group, as Facebook group as well. So you might want to check that out. Tonight is a recap of the 6 through 10 of the core commitments, which is attend a weekly presentation, attend a weekly core training, which you're on, attend a monthly regional, attend all company conventions, and a monthly massive action plan. So we're going to get that deeper. And why do we encourage you to be on here until you can teach it to your team? And why do we do the recaps? Because there's so much to get within each one. And we want you to be not just a thin tree that grows up and that the wind can blow over, or a fast-growing a tree without roots, but we want you to be a good, solid tree with the foundation so that the winds can come and will not knock you over. The winds of change can come. The storms can come. But you will stand strong because you are solid and secure in these 10 core commitments. So that is why we repeat them and have replays and take you deeper each time into them. Tony Robbins says repetition is the mother of all skills. Please keep track of the ones that you attend, because when you've completed all 10, when you've watched all 10, or when you've seen the replays for them, you get a certificate for that level. We have Jim and Doris. Your certificates are coming. Jim is receiving soon a certificate for his second level, and Doris for her first level. There are 4 levels in all. So keep track of those and just private message me and say, okay, I've completed level 1, 2, 3, or 4, or whatever. At the end of 90 minutes here, we turn the recording off and have open coaching. We will ask what was your favorite thing you learned tonight, and do you have any questions, or do you have any takeaways? So that is what we will do afterwards. Some people do bring their questions they run into, but we always benefit from hearing your takeaway. Helps us to recap and to get it deeper ourselves. So people are saying of this class, there is, regardless of experience, there isn't a single professional in this industry that wouldn't benefit from this class, and many other testimonials. Thank you guys. We're proud of you for using these principles, for achieving success that you have, and letting us know about it. If anybody has success, large or small, we want to hear about it. Put it in the Facebook group, private message us. We want to brag about you and celebrate and inspire other people with that. So of that, over to Jeff.
Okay, guys, what we're going to do is a real quick recap and then really answer questions. I think that's, kind of the main thing that we can help out with and do here. So starting out, getting people started right, having people make a list of 10 people to talk to, use the favor script. Do me a favor. I'm going to share with you what I'm doing. So it's really funny, a friend of mine who is a insurance agent had been struggling for 2 years, and he's a friend of mine. He hears this stuff all the time. He's been on calls and all kinds of stuff, and he's like, a funny thing happened. This was Friday. He goes, a funny thing happened. He kind of got upset. He wasn't where he wanted to be. He was talking to a friend of his that's in his downline in his insurance. So his insurance company has a multi-level feature to it. And his friend was talking to him, and his friend basically was going to quit. And he was going to quit because he wasn't seeing any results. He had done everything that they asked him to do, using their scripts, using their programs, and it wasn't taking off for him. And he's like, look, I've done this for 2 years, or a year and a half. I'm going to go get a W-2, and I'm going to drop out. So my friend's like, yeah, don't do that. I'm looking at these different things. And funny enough, their company, their particular insurance company didn't believe in leads, but now it's kind of coming around. I've been talking to them about it for at least 18 months, and now they're finally coming around. I guess they just mentioned it in the meeting, their sales meeting. But Friday, he started talking to somebody, and he's like, I need to contact her, I need to contact her, I need to contact her, I need to contact her. And he's like, I don't know what hit me, but he's like, I need to quit using that script. I need to use this favor script thing and try it out. So he tried it out on this lady that was a waitress. At the very end of the meal, he's like, all right, it's time, do it or get off the pot, basically. And he's like, hey, can you do me a huge favor? She's like, yeah, what's up? He's like, well, I'm in the middle of building my insurance agency, and I just wanted to, ask a favor if you'd sit down for 30 minutes, let me go through what we do. If you run into the right person, you could refer them off. If you have some interest, great. She's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. He's like, I probably look like a mailbox with the front hanging open. He's like, mouth open, just kind of sitting there. Like, he's like, Jeff, I just didn't think it'd work that easy. But it did. So that gave him the next step of confidence to get on the phone, and he ended up booking 11 appointments back-to-back. And when I say back-to-back, the appointments aren't back-to-back, but he was able to get back-to-back appointments from being on the phone, follow-ups, and things like that. So, awesome results. But just using the favor script, getting the information in front of people. Then what do we do once they agree? We then present to them using the 10 to 15-minute presentation, going over the 5 areas. Number 1, the company. Number 2, the need in the marketplace. The products is number 3. The compensation plan is number 4. And number 5, the timing and the talent. Once we get that to them, you basically ask the question, you thank them. This is a friend most of the time, acquaintance, especially the first 10 people, almost always are people we know. Hey, thank you so much for learning about what we do. So if you run into the right person, by the way, now that you know what I do, just wanted to ask you, do you have a personal interest in either the products and services or the compensation plan? If they say yes, great, can I get you some more information on that? Cool, let's get the information and move them to the next step. That's all you do for the first 10. What I've typically found is in those first 10, what happens is our goal is to get them one person, at least, a customer and or a recruit. My philosophy is it's getting a lot of people to do a little bit over a long enough period of time. So if you get a lot of people to do a little bit over a long enough period of time, your objective is to recruit a team. You rarely will see anybody in this industry with a bunch of customers walk across the stage and tell their story. In fact, I only know of 2 companies so far out of the hundreds and thousands of companies out there. I only know of 2 companies so far that I've ever seen somebody speak on stage that really doesn't recruit anybody, that just sells product. And both of those companies have high-ticket items. High-ticket items meaning you can make several hundred to several $1,000s per sale. So that's pretty much getting people started. 10, get them in, get them going. Now the question is, what do you do after that? Because a lot of people are like, well, what do I do then? Next, you want to get them into the meeting system. Whatever your system is, whether it's events online or events in person, you want to get them into the meeting system. I ask them, hey, I don't care. Look, I don't care what you go to, but I just want you to go to one. So it'd be probably better to go to this next one than it would be any of them, so we can just get it out of the way. If you don't like going to it after that, I don't care. I don't care. My job is to get you to go to one. If you go to one right now, we won't talk about it anymore. The next one is, and then I give them the date. And usually I will do that through the process of those 10 people that we're talking to, because normally that's over a couple days. I said, look, the next event, I just want you to go once. You give me your feedback. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, hey, no big deal. What I'm doing is I am leading them through a pre-qualification process, really. Is this somebody that I can work with long term? What I've found is if somebody doesn't attend the meetings and the events, I cannot work with you long term. I can help you get started and find one person, but from then on, you're on your own. The reason you're on your own is basically what you're telling me is you are not humble, you are not willing to learn, and you are not willing to educate yourself. Therefore, I can't help you long term. I'm looking to build an agency. Just like if I was looking to build a professional sports team, if you won't show up to practice, you aren't going to play on my team, period. I don't care what your schedule's like. If your schedule's so bad, you need to look for a different profession if you want to play the game. That's just how it works. And that might be harsh, and that might not be politically correct, but it works. And it's worked in every company I've been in, and it's worked with every product. The people who figure it out and come out regularly, on a regular basis, they're there, they're committed, just like if it was practice, to playing the games. People like, I really want to speak on stage, then you need to show up early and be at every event from now until the time we put you up on stage. You miss one, you just eliminated your ability to speak on stage. Why? Because you can't stand up and say you're committed when you're not showing up. Plain and simple. So, core 2, be here a year from now. Be here a year from now basically states, got to be doing it. You're in the game, playing the game for real. We don't need to get into that. 100% responsibility. You guys are all here. 3, personal development. I found that the people who read on a regular basis, 10 to 15 pages a day, listen to 30 minutes to an hour of an audio, or watch it on YouTube, specifically, watch this, Personal development specifically about people skills, mindset, or network marketing. The fact that you watched an inspirational video about singing is awesome, but that has nothing to do with you learning how to build a business. Some people just don't get that. They're like, I watched YouTube for 10 hours. I watched this TED Talk about these mushrooms. They eat you after you're gone and this other thing. I was like, what in the world does that have to do with personal development? How is that going to help you recruit somebody? Last is association. You associate. So that means you show up to the events again. 4, market daily. You are on a constant, consistent basis marketing to new people. Beth and I do this at the school. How do we do it at the school? I was on, most of you got the message, I was on basically going on and saying, hey, just wanted a favor. We're going to do this class. We're promoting this event. Here's the information. Jump on if you can. Text back yes. And person after person after person. I had 48 or 49 people send me back a message that said leads. I'm ready to go. I want to do this. It's pretty good. So that's 4. 5 is present daily. Present daily. So what we do is we teach people to present on a regular basis. Now, do you have to do it every single day? No, but you'd probably get ahead if you did. And the reality is if you show 15 people a month, you're crawling. What I found about crawling is you're probably not going to beat attrition. Attrition is the rate at which people get out of the business. You might get a couple in, but you're going to lose people faster than you're getting them in. So that's attrition. 30 presentations a month. At 30 presentations a month, what happens is you go from, basically just moving to now you're moving and you can kind of steer a car at 30 miles an hour. It's hard to steer a car at 5 miles an hour. Especially if you remember the old style cars that didn't have power steering. Holy mackerel. Try to turn that wheel when the car's sitting still. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're trying to turn the car all the way around, not moving. It's very difficult. That's 5. Present every day. You go from crawl to walk. Now, you can go to run. Run is 45 presentations plus. That's not even 2 a day. It's more like 2 a day, 5 days a week. Which is, that would be rocking. If you were doing that, you would crush it. Now, what's interesting is that's the same number of appointments I tell people to do inside of our holistic health appointment. I said, look, if you do, this is funny, if you do 1 appointment every other day, you're going to make about $1,500 in our holistic health business. If you do an appointment every day, you'll make about $3,000. If you get to about 45, which is about 12 a week, 12, 24, 48, so it's 48 a month. I said at that point you'll be basically knocking on the door of about $4,000 to $5,000 depending on tips. That's just in our business what we do. This is full time, but I found, isn't it funny? It's the same number in network marketing. Now 60 presentations plus is what we call sprinting, and you can only do that for a period of time. That's basically the pace that I ran at for the first couple years inside of my holistic health company to get it up and rolling. And ironically, it's the same thing that I've done in every company that I've ever kind of made it to the top recruiter, if that's what I did. It was 60 presentations plus. It was, hey, do me a favor. I want to talk about what I'm doing, what we're working on. This is the project. I'm putting people in. Here's how they're structured. If it's something you want to do, here's where you can get placed. If you're placed in that position, here's basically what that means to you. Here's what it costs. If it's something for you, great. If it's not, great. I was not attached to the outcome either way. I was just looking for the right people. And, we just rolled through the people. And here's the thing. If I was doing 3-4 presentations a day, out of 100 to 200, out of 100 to 150 presentations, the last time I did this, I recruited 34 people, but 64 people in 5 weeks, because it was a 5-week cycle in that company. I recruited 64 people in 5 weeks. So I don't know what that is per week. A little over 10, right? A little over 10. 11, it's 11, right? Yeah, about. It was all right. It wasn't, it wasn't like completely undoable, but it was fast. Here's what happened. Those 64 people turned into 150 people within 90 days. And then it grows from there. So that's kind of how it works. Those were all recruits. Those weren't customers. Those were recruits. Now, I've done that more than once, and that's what Eric Worre talks about when he says, go out and recruit 20 people in 4 weeks. He's done that seminar several times. I was like, oh, yeah, I've done this many times. Eric just gave me a structure to run off of, and I taught it a little bit differently, but it was the same teaching. You're going to get a point in time when you've got to present, and it's the presentations that are going to move you forward. And I've heard it many different times from many different leaders in the business. As Bess always says, there's tons of people who have made big money, but what we found all of them in common have that stretch of time where they do kind of a run or they do a challenge of some kind where they challenge themselves to see how much they can get done in a certain period of time. And it works. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is. What I've found is if you can do 2 90 days back-to-back, you basically build the foundation for 6 figures. I've found that for every 100,000 beyond that, there's another 90-day challenge you ran. It's usually true. The people who get to $1 million in 3, 4, 5 years, what they did is 90 days back to 90 days, back by 90 days, back by 90 days. One of my friends said, if you do that, at the end of every 90 days, take 3 to 5 days for your family and go do something. Go do something. 3 to 5 days. Don't tell your team. Don't announce it. Tell them after you get back. That's smart for 2 reasons. First of all, anything you tell your team you're doing that's taking off time, they feel they'll do twice as much of it. If you take off 5 days, they'll take off 24. And I know that's more than twice, but that's just mentality of usually how it works. You also don't want to alert everybody that you're leaving every 90 days because you're setting up somebody to break in and take everything you have. So that's not smart either. That's 5. Number 6, weekly presentation. You want to attend a weekly presentation, whether it's online or live, every single week. The reason being is the more times you hear it, the better you get at it. The more times you hear it, the more you'll understand the dynamics of it. The more times you hear it, the better you will present it. And it's repetition. They'll get you good. So that's 6. 7 is attend a core training every week, which we're on right now. That just makes sense. That way that becomes second nature. That becomes habit forming. You start picking up all the 1% things that you need to know. 8, attend a monthly seminar. Monthly seminar, sometimes it's called a regional, sometimes it's called a local, sometimes it's called a Super Saturday, sometimes they're called conferences, they're called all different kinds of things. But the difference between this and a convention is usually all weekend, where what I'm talking about, a regional, is anywhere between like 4 hours to all frickin' day. Sometimes they're long. I mean, I've been to company seminars like that are 12 hours. And their objective is to, you came in with like this little Dixie cup with water and they spray you with a fire hose. And, you get way too much. I remember walking out of some of them and I was just like, okay, I'm drowning here. I got a lot, but I'm drowning. So that's 7, 8. 9, attend all company conventions. You want to attend your conventions for your company. You want to know where they are. You want to get there. That's a weekend. That's a Usually, that's a sacrifice. If you use John Maxwell's principle, you have to give up to go up. This is usually what happens. Somebody gets in, and they're like, I want to travel. What's really funny is I've talked to people in travel companies, and I'm like, are you going to your company conventions? No, I can't. Like, you got into a travel company, and your travel company is going to Orlando, Florida, which is a place you want to go, and you're giving me excuses of why you can't go. I'm like, that's the reason you need to go. Like, whatever the reason is you can't go, that is the reason to go. Well, I can't because work won't let me out. Well, then, you need to figure that out. Be sick, call in, well, I'm not coming. And this is the motivation part. At what point are you ready to really run in your business? What kind of income do you have to replace? So, the last is a map. We did that last week. Massive action plan where you lay out what to do in the order to do it. You set goals in all these areas. And that's how we put it together. So with that is a quick recap of the 10 core. what I'm going to do is turn this over to Bess to get her insight, and then we will, answer some more questions and go over some more things.
Okay, special event tonight where we get to really communicate a lot more with you guys. First, want to welcome Pasha Bolin, who jumped on, and Adrian Congleton, who jumped on since we began. Welcome, everybody. And thanks, Jeff, for that recap of the 10 core. What I brought to the table is, in my role as a shrink of MLM, wanted to bring the mindset part. And Jeff was talking a lot tonight about commitment. And, what is your commitment to network marketing? If you find yourself lagging on any of the 10 core commitments, let's take a look at commitment tonight. I actually have an exercise that I would invite you to do along with me, to grab your pen and your paper and make some notes as I go through these points. And this is about commitment. This is about the courage to step up, the courage to step out of your comfort zone, and the courage to not settle. This is a temptation in our lives. That's why we are entrepreneurs, but we may still have a little bit of the old employee mindset along with us, or the victim mindset, or the settling, or the mediocre mindset, or the complacency, or the blame, or the selfishness, or the status quo, or good versus great, or the comfort zone, staying inside the comfort zone. So I'm going to talk about that for a little bit and invite you to write down. This is kind of an honest, only you will see the answer, but I'm inviting you right now to be honest with yourself and write this down and face yourself. Face yourself, because we want to stretch you. We want you to grow. I've done this exercise myself too. I'm not just asking you guys, but I frequently, life shows me sides of myself that I don't really like seeing, and it takes courage to look at that and say, okay, I still accept myself. I'm still a valuable, lovable person, even if I don't like these things. Let me see what I can do to change it. And sometimes changing it might be as simple as envisioning the opposite. For example, if I find myself just thinking of my own self and I want to think of service of the whole, then I'll pretend that I am that. I'll pretend that I'm a servant of life, or that I won't focus so much on my selfishness as much as when I see it, then I make an intent to focus on the service, because that's what I put my attention on, is what I become. So I want to almost act, pretend, see myself do that, vision myself, be the person that I want me to be. So that is how to do these things. But here are the things that maybe you'll see some things that you would like to change as well. So I invite you to write down all the times that you have settled for comfort and security versus freedom. There's a story of a free dog. He's kind of scroungy and kind of lean, and he's cruising through this neighborhood, and he sees a well-fed dog, well-groomed, fat, happy, but he's on a chain. And he says, I would rather be a little hungry and be free than be on a chain. And that's the way I see myself. And that's the way entrepreneurs need to be. They need to get out of the comfort zone and challenge themselves to do things that they're not always familiar with, not always comfortable with, and not always feeling secure. Only you know how great a risk factor, tolerance factor you have. Some entrepreneurs have a huge one, and they'll do things that will scare me, but I will do things that will scare others, that have a narrower range. Only you know what your risk tolerance is, or your risk factor is, that you can handle, or that will be right for you. But let me just say, get a little outside your comfort zone anyway. Maybe not tremendously out, but make sure that every day you do something that stretches you, that challenges you, that you feel uncomfortable with, that you feel nervous about doing, that's a little step beyond where you were yesterday. The next one is write down when you settle for good versus great. When you know you could have done better on a task today, do you not give it your all? When do you not give it your all? When you could have texted 10 people today with a favor script and maybe you just did 1 or 2 or none. When you could have, there was the time to do it. When did you not give it your all to make the very, very best of that day? Or when did you not do a task as good as you could have or gone as far as you could have? So when I was visiting Jeff and Brandy in January in their home, guess what? They also took me to their workout gym, which I was real happy. And Brandy said the second day, she goes, I think it's time to get you on some weights, get you lifting some weights. So I did. I felt kind of puny next to them. But I lifted some weights. And she goes, you can do more than that. I go, oh, no, I want to stop before I get too sore or anything. I've hurt myself before. I've overextended myself before. She goes, I think you can do more. So I did more. I rested. I came back and I could do more. I rested. I came back and I could do more. And the next day, she said, well, she's my trainer for that day. Next day, she said, well, were you sore? And I go, no. She goes, you could have done more. You could have done more yet. So when do I settle for good versus great? If anything comes to mind, you can just make a note. Maybe, something comes to mind that you might like to improve. Another one is when do you settle for entertainment versus education? Some of us don't own a TV, but we have a lot of books in our bookcase. Or we might opt for learning something new, like Jeff was talking about, instead of being entertained. I think that's much more exciting. I get a little bored with entertainment myself because it's like, oh man, it's not feeding my mind. I want to be learning something here, not just treading water, not just being, not just entertainment. But sometimes I need it. I need a break, and I need my right brain and music or art or whatever that I need. But then, are there times when you might be able to trade that off? Exchange some entertainment for education so that you can grow. The next one is, can you identify times when you've stayed small instead of living large? What does living small mean to you? I always remember when Tony Robbins told Eric Worre, after Eric had just, produced a book and a Rise to the Entrepreneur DVD and stayed up all hours producing that thing and in time for the seminar, and was always bringing new and innovative stuff, and was always bringing more and more people to his seminars. And Tony said, Eric, you're playing small. And Eric probably thought he was stretched as far as he could. And he goes, really? I thought I was playing kind of large. He goes, nope, you could do a lot more. So when do we live small and versus live large? What does that mean in your life? Just contemplate that for a moment. Maybe make a note. When do you give in to discouragement versus go for service? I've done that. Man, I've let discouragement knock me out for days, weeks, to where I rationalized I could cut back on my productivity because I was nursing some hurt feelings, or wondered if it was all worth it or something, or maybe I got some feedback that hurt my ego. But I can tell you that as time has gone on and I do the self-therapy and self-coaching methods that I teach other people, that each time my discouragement is shorter, to where it might even last just minutes, or days, hours or something like that, where I process to work that through. My Real Conversations method is how I process, how I get myself out of a funk or a hole real fast. So maybe just notice, when's the last time you let discouragement interfere with service, helping other people? Of course, discouragement's about us, right? Service is about others. So can I make that leap, and can I make that shift from thinking about me to thinking about others? And voila, guess what? Feel better. So one antidote to discouragement is to begin to take action. People respond, are grateful. All of a sudden, you're out of the funk. You're out of the discouragement. Todd Falcone did a Facebook Live the other day about how to get over discouragement, and I put a little note, discouragement is one of the greatest enemies of network marketing, and you wrote, yes, it is. So how do you get over that? Do you take action? Do you remember your past successes and feel good about that? Know you can do it again? Do you hear other people's successes? How do you get over your discouragement? Here's another one. When do I succumb to immediate gratification versus more later? I still like my little saying that you could tell a child's maturity by offering 1 cookie now or 3 cookies in 5 minutes. And just coached someone the other day, I mentioned this on our Wednesday class, who is tempted, has been tempted to make immediate income versus work on his network marketing business, which does not bring immediate income right away, but it can bring more in the long run. So what he has to do is keep focusing on the millions that he could make with network marketing instead of the thousands he could make he had a way to make some money immediately, and that interfered with his network marketing business. So his immediate income, his 1 cookie now, is interfering with his 3 cookies later. And when have you done that? Or, I'll watch TV tonight and feel good. I'll make my calls tomorrow. And keep saying that again and again. Till we run out of tomorrows. Because it's what we do consistently that matters. Another one to journal. When have you settled for mediocre versus magnificent? And is that okay when you do? Is it okay with you if your life tallied up at the end of your life, if you can grade it mediocre? Is that okay with you? Is a mediocre life okay? Or do you want magnificence? What do you really, really want? Sometimes I think, well, magnificence will be too hard. That, being rich is too hard. Well, being broke is hard too, right? So choose your hard. Rich, you have to work for it or manage it once you get it. But being broke, I think it's the same work. So choose your hard. Another one, complacency versus accomplishment. Complacency is just like, for many people, like being in a job. There's a lot of people who put pride in their jobs and do it well, but there's many people too who use their jobs to kind of go to sleep, to just get by, to be passive. And that would be more of the employee mentality. That's why employees get paid like an employee versus an entrepreneur gets paid for accomplishment and not just getting by. But how can they add more, do more, reach for more, serve more? Another one is blame versus responsibility. When do I shift responsibility and give that power to change over to someone else? Well, I couldn't do it because they, or the law, or it rained, or somebody else didn't like me, or they stole my downline, or the company changed their comp plan. When do we blame versus taking responsibility for our life? Because blaming is giving away our power. Here's another one, selfish versus giving. I encounter this all the time myself. When do I think of me versus think of the good of the whole, which includes me? And when do I want to take people's attention or money and see how little I can give back versus how much I can give back, which is more attractive and generates more money and more business? So when do I think of just me versus the good of the whole, or versus giving? When do I take instead of give? And the last one, status quo versus change. We want things familiar, right? We want things the same, because there's that cartoon, Who Wants Change? And everybody puts up their hand. Then he says, who wants to change? Everybody takes down their hand because we're familiar. We know how to manage where we are, and then we can kind of be lazy and go to sleep in consciousness. And change, I believe every change is always a step for the better, always a step up, but we have to adapt to it or learn new things. Some people like that, right? They like to learn, they like new things. When I was a kid in Kansas, we would have tornado warnings, and so we'd go down in our tornado shelter and we'd take our food supplies that are ready to be down there, food and water and all that stuff, and we'd sit there and we'd listen to the radio and wait for the tornado to blow over. And then we opened the door to come out, and I was always hoping that like the house would be blown away or all the trees would be blown, something different. I was waiting for a different scenario, and I came up, and usually it was mostly the same. A few trees were blown around, but as a kid, I didn't care if it would leave me without a home or something. I was anticipating, well, maybe the storm made something different up there. Kids like change. Kids like something different. But we lose that sometimes as we grow up. We just, everything to be the same. We start getting old, right? Instead of being young again. So when do I opt for keeping things just the same and nice and like they are instead of changing and evolving and being flexible? So I've got all of these. I look at all of these. But a tree, if you look at nature, never stops growing. It doesn't just say, well, that's all I'm going to grow now. It can't. It's impossible. A tree can really slow down its growth if it's not getting enough water. But it never stops growing. It can't just sort of sit there and not change and not grow. It's going to change in some way. And ideally, we do too. Even though we stop growing in height, it would be natural for us to want to grow and change. That would be natural, and that's why reading the book or education and going for magnificence and accomplishment. So this is an exercise here. When do I settle? And what can I do about that? Do I provide, think of just my family, or do I provide for the world? How can I think better? How can I have a bigger vision and a bigger reason? Again, I think it's the same work to work for a small vision as a big vision. The only difference is that the big vision accomplishes more. I used to think that, well, a bigger vision means I would burn out or I'd have to do 10 times what I'm doing. But I think that if I work from a bigger vision, that it won't take any more work that I'm doing now. I mean, I'm already putting as many hours or minutes a day as there are in a day, and I love what I'm doing. But what if I put the same work toward a greater vision? By working smart, by enlisting other people, like in network marketing, on a team and train other people to do that. So that's an example of network marketing. You don't do all the retailing, but you train other people. That's an example of putting in the same amount of work but getting that residual income back. This is a good time of year to contemplate commitment and giving it your all and not settling. This is the time of year Jeff was just mentioning to me as we talked the other night. This is the perfect time of year when most people build and get into network marketing. Can you guess why? Because that's when income tax returns come back. This would be the perfect time to prospect and to even do a challenge, because people most of the time have the money right now, and they might not the rest of the year. And Jeff was saying that's why Sam's Club sells the most furniture and jewelry, and why car sales shoot up at this time of year, because people's tax returns. So in March and April, if they're getting their income tax soon, then in March and April should be the time of year when you give it your all, when you do commit. And you might even want to do a challenge. Maybe you can 10 times the number of presentations you usually do. Maybe you can do 2 3, 4, 5 presentations a day, or to do an all-out challenge would be 10. And I have done challenges, and I've helped network marketers do challenges, and it is a thrill. The speed at which you go, like Jeff did. It's very exciting, very attractive. The momentum attracts people. It wakes up your team. If there's sleepers on your team, they wake up and they look at you, and you're being active and get all this action. And when you do all these presentations for people, you start having stories that you can then tell your team and bring to your calls. It's very, very exciting. Doing a challenge brings about twice the results as if you've done the same amount of work over a longer period of time, over 6 to 12 months. You can squeeze all that into 30, 60, or 90 days. You get double the number of customers, distributors, and retention that you would if it was all slowed down. So speed, success loves speed. And momentum generates more, and you don't have to gear up and gear down every day or every week. You know, you're always up and you're always running. So like when you're running with the wind, it's already going. That's why a challenge makes so much sense. I really encourage everybody to think of giving themselves a challenge. Maybe it's going to be to do 2 to 5 presentations a day for a certain amount of time. Maybe it's going to be for 10. Even people full-time, Eric Worre showed how you can working full-time, still use evenings and weekends to do an all-out challenge. It often takes moving everything else aside, picking a time when there's the least other distractions going on, negotiating with your family to help, outsourcing what you can, gaining the support to free up your time to be able to give it to the presentations. So even if you're working full-time, it can be done. That's a tremendous effort, but it gets your plane off the ground. I'd like to end with a quote by William H. Murray, who led the Scottish Himalayan expeditions. It's kind of a famous quote. Maybe you guys have heard this before, but I like it a lot. Until one is committed, we're talking about commitments, 10 core commitments. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative or creation, there is one elementary truth, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of the things occur to help one that would otherwise never have occurred. A whole stream of events issue from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man would have believed would have come his way. And he finishes with this quote, whatever you think you can do or believe you can do, begin it. Action has magic, grace, and power in it. How's that? How are you going to go forward? What commitment can you give to yourself? If you want to announce it in the Facebook group, your commitment, your challenge, how many presentations you want to do a day, that would be a very good way to honor this commitment. If you want to keep it to yourself, that's okay too. But when you tell the world, we can use this as your accountability. Use that Facebook group like some people have done. They've posted how many Ps a day, how many presentations they commit to doing a day, and then underneath they would post the date and how many they did that day. And every time you put a new comment there, it raises that post to the top so that it can be found, it won't be lost, and so other people can get inspired by it too. You can use us as your accountability partners. Use that Facebook group for that. Or you can keep it to yourself. So which do you think you're going to have the most action and greater results? So make a commitment to yourself and tell the world, and we're here to support you in this class, in that group. You're in good company, and that's what we do. And over to you, Jeff.
Okay, guys, so that's the basics. That's the 10 core that we go through every week, along with, how to overcome certain drawbacks of doing this. Where are you at? What can you improve? What can you work on? Beth and I were talking about, this time of year. What do you do? This is the time when people are coming out of their shell and, they kind of lock themselves away January and February, and now all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's time to get something done. It's time to get out there. It's time to talk to people. It's time to get moving. So now's the time to set the goal and actually get that done. So what I want to do is I'm going to open up the call and just, talk about what are you working on, where you at, what are you thinking, what can we help you with? First of all, what was your greatest takeaway or insight, from this, and or if you were on the lead stuff earlier, if you have something to say about that, that'd be, cool too. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on how to, build it or, what to do. That's what we're going to do next week, but I can answer some questions if we have some time. So I'm going to unmute and we'll kind of go from there.
So Liz and Mark, you guys are first.
Uh-oh. For me, what I'm working on right now is my presentation. I did have one, but I'm not comfortable with it. I really don't like it. So I'm going over my notes and all that I've learned, and I'm rewriting my presentation. So to me it sounds better and not so salesy. And so that's what I'm doing tonight, is rewriting that, and I think it'll make me feel more comfortable with first, the script and doing my presentation and talking to people. I'll feel more comfortable when I get a good presentation down pat. For me, that's my biggest thing right now. I've overcome a lot of things, though, through both Jeff and you, Beth.
Congratulations.
But I think it'll help with the fear part. I feel really comfortable with what I'm saying to people. That'll help a lot. So that's my thing.
Thank you, Liz. Best way to get comfortable is to do a lot of it. You can also ask people for feedback from your script, including your upline. Make sure it's company compliant and follows the guidelines real carefully in the book. Always get a yes book, pages 5 to 12. And bring any questions about your 10-minute presentation here.
How did you know that's what I was thinking? I was going to get, as soon as I'm finished writing it, I was going to call my upline and see how she feels about it, things I need to change or anything. Yes.
But good, you're on a very core activity for your success, and that's to get your 10-minute presentation honed. So good for you. That's critical to going forward. Good job. Steve, what was your? You can see who's all on here now. Jeff, do you want to ask or what would you like to do? Well,
no, you're good. We'll just go in order, just like you're doing.
Okay. Steve, what is your best takeaway from tonight? Your favorite thing? Let's see if we can hear you. I can't hear you yet. Not sure your audio worked. Could you type it in? Thanks. Not sure, but we hope that we can hear you later. Kitty, do you have a takeaway, a favorite part for tonight? So Kitty Baker is unmuted. So check that you're unmuted too, Kitty, if you're on your own personal. Some people I know might have stepped away. We'll come back. How about Jim? We need to unmute Jim. So we need to unmute Jim or...
Can you hear me?
Gotcha. Yep.
Oh, great. Great. Well, the review is always great. I'm going to a conference here, a couple of them, but one is kind of a volunteer Radio Club of America type thing in Las Vegas, but that's always interesting. But then I'm headed over to Arizona, and I think, Jeff, you mentioned it's best to sit over in the left-hand side. I guess I have to scope it out and see where the stage is. But didn't you say they usually pay more attention to the people on the left and the right of stage?
Maybe I didn't follow the question. Pay more attention to the people on the right, left. What do you mean?
Yeah, no. At this conference I'm going there, when I sit down in the conference, I think the people are addressing more to the left when you're presenting yourself than the right. Just, but I guess it's more stage left, stage right, wherever they're kind of coming in and out. Also, but that's part of the stuff we were talking about is going to those things, and they're very crucial. This one I got involved with probably maybe 3 years ago. Wow, 2016. But I'm taking the class, and it was amazing to take the review because I've kind of done it my way, and these guys have done it on several property type things. And they were reviewing on management and stuff. So it will be good to review, I mean, regardless of that one gal was talking about rewriting the script. Well, that gets it in your head, too, when you rewrite it. I took a lot of notes today prior to this, and it's just a good way to get it in your head to write it down, and then that way you have a possibility of it actually turning out the way you planned it. So the thing freedom and chain dog versus, the freedom dog, that's good. I came to mind the Lady and the Tramp, and it is kind of nice being the tramp dog walking around the back door and seeing, what really is going on with each business and getting involved with it rather than, the lady part of things. And the security and the comfort, that was a good thing to talk about this evening. I guess pursue your dreams, you begin today. That I think you mentioned right at the end, and there you start today. And whatever level you just want to start and build from there. So going over those core classes, it's interesting to see the importance of, those last 3-4 steps we talked about this evening, weekly, monthly, convention, and then regional. And the regional ones you pick up a lot. I guess I'm was thinking about the it's always time to go or whatever. Well, it's let's grow instead of let's go. Let's grow. Time to grow. And that's what those big meetings are all about, because you really get to see the end result. I have a gal in Dubai now doing something and being honored, and I told her, way to go. I mean, you reach those levels, and it's a constant learning ability to be able to reach those stages. So that was my take, and as always, thanks immensely.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, ready, set, grow.
Yep.
Congratulations to your distributor in Dubai. That's great. Awesome. Oops. Can't hear you. Thank you. Hey, Louie, can we unmute you? Or unmute? There you go.
Yes, it was good to review the different steps to the 1 to 10 that Jeff went over tonight. And last week I made a presentation, and then today I got a call in person to join our group. And I'm going to work with them closely to see what they want to do, what their dreams are. So I'm going to meet them this board tomorrow.
Awesome. Congratulations on that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to use your script a lot more in my networking groups. It hasn't worked too well yet, but I mean I'm still working on it.
Congratulations, Louie, on a new distributor, and you could use the agent profile with them.
Yeah.
Get them going.
That's right. It's very good. And thanks a lot for this afternoon. I found it very interesting, Jeffrey.
Awesome.
That's good. That's good. A little different, but something that's helpful. When you're ready, there.
Yes, I think that you know, I missed out a lot when I met some people in other networking groups. I could have used all these cards and maybe get in touch with them again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louie. And lastly, we have Pasha, I believe, at 7:08.
Hi, Bess. It's Pasha from Illinois.
Awesome.
I enjoyed the exercise, the commitment exercise. I plan to review it in more detail, but it was very helpful. And the quote that you gave, I didn't get the name of the person, but that was an awesome quote. Could you tell me the name of the person again?
Sure. It was William H. Murray of the Scottish.
M-U-R-R-A-Y?
M-U-R-R-A-Y.
Okay.
You can find them online.
Okay.
Scottish.
Okay, that was beautiful.
Scottish Himalayan Expedition.
Okay.
Scottish Himalayan Expedition. I just love this quote. My goodness. It says, you know, life is kind of waiting to match you. First you got a commitment. It's going to come in and support you. But if we're scared, how could it help us manifest our dream? So it takes a bit of trust, doesn't it? To leap.
Oh, yes.
And be caught.
Yes.
To leap into commitment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Pasha. Let's see if Kitty, if her audio is working now. So, Kitty, you're unmuted now, and we cannot hear you yet. Make sure you're unmuted. Your sound. We're not hearing you, hon. Can you type your takeaway in, or any question? Type in what you got, what your favorite part of tonight was. Meanwhile, I'm going to look and see what Steve has typed in. And Steve is looking to see who he can connect to. He's now on LinkedIn. And I feel like I'm doing the worst. So I like the favorite script now. It's who to say it to and the timing. I feel like I'm doing the worst. I'm not sure what that means, but now it's who to say it to and the timing. Oh, so you've got to figure out where to find people to connect with. Well, we start with a favorite script, Steve, with everybody that you know that you can text and say, hey, can I ask you a favor? Can I let you know what I'm doing in case you run across the right person? You can refer them to me. So once you start with all the people that you know, you can look on your phone and look on your Facebook friends, people that you really do know, and text that to them or Facebook message it to them. And then follow up on the referrals from that, which could lead to several hundred people and could lead to a good number of presentations. If you've really, really done that with all the people that you know, then I think LinkedIn can be a good place to go and offer to people, hey, glad to meet you. Looks like you do this and this. Wondering if you'd be interested in meeting to learn what each other does in case we might be able to refer people to each other. So that's how to use the favor script as a mutual. Steve wants people to come to him instead of me looking so much. People are attracted to you when you listen to them, ask questions, notice what they write on their profiles, comment on that, support them, edify them, comment, like, share, and then, ask if, hey, especially LinkedIn is like a big old networking group, and everybody there is wanting to build their business. So you could say, hey, do you think, would you like to talk by phone or video and learn what each other does in case we might be able to refer to each other? So that seems pretty, like, who wouldn't turn that down? Who would turn that down? I can't think of many people that would not want to build their business. So I wonder if that script could work for you. Yes, you got no team yet. Okay. I don't remember. Oh, when I was mentioning team, yeah. Well, you will have a team if you follow the favor script or what the suggestion I just mentioned. So envision your team. See it there. See a big team in your future and get comfortable with the idea of having one. And will you be responsible to them? Will you help them get started right? Will you use the agent profile, Jeff's agent profile? Will you help them to have success fast? Louis is leaving. Thank you, Louis. Thank you for joining. Kitty is looking to track contents and scheduling weekly meetings. Tracking contacts and scheduling weekly team meetings. So scheduling meaning you're planning or putting them on or you're scheduling to attend them. And you're looking to track contents tax. It sounds like you're going to track your invites that you do, the presentation, the favor invites, and then how many presentations you actually do. That would be, especially the presentations would be good numbers. Both would be good numbers to track. How many favor invites does it take to get a presentation on the average? And how many do you do a day in a week? That's great. Thank you. Spreadsheet. Yep. Looking to tracking contacts. Meaning that, I was suggesting one time using an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of the date and how many invites you do and how many presentations you do. You could even then keep a third number, how many recruits end up signing up. Kitty's going to start a challenge soon. Wonderful. I think you'll love it. It's so much fun. I love the momentum myself as much as I love surfing or going up in a plane. I love that momentum. I like fast cars, I like speed. So I think you'll enjoy it. Let us know how you do. Check in on the Facebook group and say, this is what I did today, or this is what I did this week or this month. Let us know. Keep us posted, because it will inspire other people too. It's like the story that we get to see how's everybody doing lately. What's new with you? What have you been trying? What have you been doing? Maybe other people can learn from it. And Steve says, I see other people on LinkedIn works at Staples like me. That's cool. So you can have a lot in common and realize that you're both building perhaps a business. Even while you have a job, you can be building your own business. And you can find these people and do the favor script with them, a mutual one, see if you can refer to each other. Keep your vision, Steve, of where you want to go, because you're not going to be where you are now. If you put this into action, you're not always going to be working at Staples. You're not always going to have no team. You're not always going to be looking for people. So keep the vision of what you want instead and practice that, I would suggest, and kind of let yourself assume that. Pretend you're there. Feel what it's like to be there. And it's more likely to bring it than if you focus on the lack. So imagine where you want to be. Pretend you're there. and take all the action steps toward it. Things in common. Yep, focusing on things in common with people you connect with. Hey, I notice we both work at Staples. Hey, I notice we're both building a business. Hey, I notice we both like skydiving. Both like fishing. Both parents. Any other comments? Questions? Louis is off, but he did have a question about networking. Not question, but Louis, if you're hearing the replay here, I remembered that you had a question, or you said that you were using the favor script in networking groups, not having a lot of success, but you would keep trying. So I wonder if you heard what I said a little bit ago about how to use that in LinkedIn or a networking group, where you can get a mutual. You know, hey, how about if we let each other find out what each other's, some one-on-one time, so we can find out what each other does, in case we can refer people. So we run across our people, we can refer to each other. So I was in BNI for 2 years, and everybody regularly, we had one-on-ones, and we refreshed ourselves by repeating that every few months. We would have a one-on-one with each person. I had 22 people in my group. So I had one-on-ones with every one of them, and then when I was done, go back and do it again, so that I could keep fresh about how I could refer people, and they could do the same for me. Anybody else have a question? Takeaway? How's everyone's 10-minute presentations coming? Everyone's unmuted.
No, I'm finding the more you write it down, the more it happens. So that's putting a plan in place and making it happen. And the one gal there, you just eventually become a professional presenter. It's not really what product you have. It's, how you present it. And that's the whole trick of network marketing, is how you present yourself. So the more you practice, the better you get, the luckier you get.
Yep. The more we work, the luckier we become.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, that is about a wrap. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording.